New media? What does new mean? New could mean so many different things to different people. They say computers were new in the 90s, but really we had them around since the 60s. But they just weren't available to us as consumers until the 90s. Affordably available to us till the 90s. And that's about when internet, hypertext, HTML came out. 1991, I believe. But the funny thing is that there was a man decades and decades ago who predicted all of this. He predicted scanners. He predicted digital cameras. He predicted the internet, HTML. He predicted the way computers were going to go. He's predicted all this technology way before we even knew any of that would exist. So, is it really new or just new to us? The government knew about it. New media versus old media. I don't like the versus part. Because it's not new media against old media. And to me, that's the definition of versus. Without old media, we would never have new media. We may have smartphones now, but once upon a time, we had bag phones. And before bag phones, we had pay phones. Where'd the pay phones go? I understand bag phones becoming obsolete because now we have the handy phones, fit right in the palm of your hand. But not everyone has cell phones. We may like to think that everyone has cell phones, but not everyone in this world can afford cell phones, or at least in this country, especially in this recessional period. So where'd the payphones go? Why are they gone? So we all know what new media is, right? YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, even though it's kind of going to the old media. But do we really know what the true old media is of those versions? Take YouTube, for instance. When I think about the old media YouTube, I think about America's Funniest Home Videos. You know, with Bob Saget. Everyone loved that show. Can you imagine if Bob Saget was the commentary for YouTube? That would be awesome. I don't see the problem with combining old media with new media. I do see the problem with saying that there's a battle between them somehow. Let's look at some other stuff. For instance, podcasts. Does anyone have any idea where that even came from? I know. It came from code lines. People in the early 90s used to steal 800 numbers and get into people's phone systems, like through their voicemail, and then they were on air and they could get their word out and they would give shout outs, and the same thing that people do with podcasts now. The only difference is we're all into the computers, so they just figured out a way to do it through the computers instead of the phones. Is that really old, or is it just evolution at its finest? Let's look at Facebook, for instance. Here's my page. I have 333 friends, all of which I can honestly say I know personally. I've had a relationship with them some type of way. But now that I talk to them on Facebook, is there any reason for me to go to my 10-year reunion this July? I don't really see it. Reunions are supposed to be fun because you haven't seen the people in 10 years. And you want to see what they look like. And you want to see how they're doing, what kind of career they have, and how many kids they have. And all the gossip drama. But now with Facebook, it's kind of ruined that for us. There's no surprise. There's no fun. So is anybody going to the reunion? No one's even talked about it, and it's in July. So how good is new media? I've talked about how we're in a bad recession right now. And what's funny is that you see a lot of stores closing. But is it because we're in a recession? Or is it because all of the internet stores are taking over because we're so technologically based? Let's take eBay, for example. eBay is definitely new media. That's something new to all of us. What would be the old media version of it? Pawn shops, flea markets. Are those still around? Who goes to those? Everyone's on Craigslist and eBay because then they don't have to leave their home. They don't have to interact with people face to face. Is that better?